shredder now.
It's email, so.
Oh, you emailed it to him?
Alright,
Oh,
does not mean quit early enough to be still working for Either we're already, well, Angelina has her final messages and everything. At First Reform, if you want to see it again.
That was really good.
That's good.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Van Dam, Serafina,
Here.
Nick Nord,
Here.
Sheffield,
Here.
Borland,
Here.
Durden,
Here.
Van Summers.
Here.
All right, so agenda A, discussion of the tax increment district number 7, tax increment district number 8. Start with number 1. Approve, disapprove, resolution 25-12, the amendment, approving the amendment to the project plan and boundary of the tax increment district number 7. I believe this one was.
Planning and Zoning Board did look at TID 7 and to date, the reallocation of TID 7 and the creation of TID 8. We both approved them to come to the board.
So like he wants to go through this.
Yeah, I know the planning commission heard all this, and it's
Right.
going to be
It's okay.
pretty much the same, but I'll kind of give an expedited version. So tonight we're going to look at amending the boundary of TID 7 and then the creation of TID number 8. So yeah, again, tax increment financing. I know Baldwin doesn't create a lot of new TIDs regularly, but just as a reminder, it's a powerful economic development incentive that really incentivizes development. And then the tax increment financing itself, it captures that revenue, and then that revenue is used to create kind of a funding source for those development incentives. The next graphic kind of really highlights what it is. So like, let's say I'm a developer and I own a parcel and I want to put a housing development on there. Say it's worth, the base value is $100,000. I'm going to continue paying my property taxes even after the development, assuming the municipality gives me the TIF assistance. And then once the development's in place, that added value above the baseline that's that captured tax increment. That can go back to reimburse the developer depending on what the development agreement states, or if the municipality incurred some costs, you can reimburse yourself at that point as well. The win-win situation is after the termination of the TID, that value goes back onto the general tax base, and that's proportionally shared with all the taxing jurisdictions. So it's a win-win for everybody, assuming the TID is successful. So that brings us to the boundary amendment, tax increment number 7. So the reason why we're amending the boundary is we have a proposed development project on one of the parcels you see in the red there. So the expenditure period is done in TID 7. So we need to amend the boundary and basically take those parcels out, and then we're going to add those into the TID 8. So the black outline to the east of the red parcels, that's the remaining TID 7 district boundaries. And again, the purpose, the goal, that stays the same. We're not changing any of that TID 7.
But is TID 7 closed?
It's not closed, no. It's the expenditure period is done, so you can't incur new project costs. And I have a cash flow on the next slide. It kind of walks you through. I know it's really hard to see. In fact, I can't even see it, which doesn't suggest.
We all got it as well.
Okay, good deal. So you can actually reference the numbers. So about 4.7 million of value is going to be subtracted in revenue year 27. And you can see, you know, in that orange, those orange columns that say projected revenues, you see there's a decline to the tune of about, what was that, maybe $70,000, $80,000. And that's because we're subtracting those parcels out and moving them to the TID 8 creation. There's also, this is a donor district, so it is getting TID 5 and 7 revenues as well. And then you kind of see the total of the tax increments and then as well as those transfers from TID 5 and 6. And to the right of that is the projected expenditures. Looks like there's a state trust fund loan outstanding as well as a couple GO tax promissory notes, or I guess that's taxable, GO promissory notes. But all that considered, the total revenues are enough to pay for those expenditures. And we are, based on this forecast, we're projecting closing this TID up in 28, revenue year 28. So this was classified as severely distressed. So it does have a mandatory termination of 2047. So if for whatever reason we didn't have the revenues sufficient by 28 to pay off all the expenditures, we could go another year or two. Any questions on TID 7? I mean, it's fairly straightforward with the boundary amendment. You're allowed 4 boundary amendments through the life, and I think this is the first one for TID 7. Okay, hearing none, I will move on into tax increment district number 8. Like I said, those 6 parcels, I believe, you can kind of see in the center there. And one we know about, you know, kind of in process. There's a commercial residential development, the CAMI development project. So that's the rental, the apartment, multifamily residential housing development project. So then the next question is, well, why in the world are we adding all these other parcels onto this TID number 8? And you know, when you're creating a district, you really want to think as comprehensively about any possible future development, as well as any project costs. So there's a little bit of guesswork involved here. You know, so you know, we know about one development project, but then we looked at the parcels that were directly adjacent to that development area, and we thought, yeah, there's probably a fairly good likelihood that those will also be developed in the future. So then we looked to the west, and that's the Johnson Tractor parcels, and you know, I think it's reasonable that maybe at some point in the next 20 years there might be some commercial development there. And then we looked across Interstate 94, which is the hospital, the medical building. And with the help of Mark's and the village and some conversations with folks there, the decision makers, you know, there might be a medical building and maybe some assisted living opportunities at some point in the future. So we want to think about all, you know, again, comprehensively about all the development and project costs, because you don't want to go back and keep amending the plan, because there's costs involved with that. You can amend the project plan as many times as you want, but again, you're going to incur costs every single time you do that, and you do only have 4 chances to amend the boundaries. So you want to provide as many tools in your toolbox from the original plan as possible, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Again, the goal is fairly generic with mixed use TIDs. It's promote economic development, create jobs, obviously expand the tax base. And then there is one required statutory finding which we met, that more than 50% of the area has to be suitable for mixed use development. So this slide, like I said, the top bullet point is that development project that's kind of in process right now, that 85 unit apartment building. So that's the phase 1. That's the best information we have at this point, but that's still preliminary. So we have a development incentive of around 1.2 million assumed in this plan. all the other assumptions, so that next bullet point, the future commercial and residential development incentives, we've assumed about 4 different phases there. That includes the things that I kind of just mentioned, the medical center, assisted living, some of the commercial development around the 85-unit apartment building. And in total, that's about $3.75 million. We've also assumed in the plan some future public infrastructure improvements. So, you know, as this land's getting developed, there might be some street improvements, utility improvements needed. So we've assumed some project costs for that as well, to the tune of about $1.45 million. Excuse me. And then there's kind of a special rule carved out in statute that allows certain project costs outside of the TID that you can pay for. That's called a half mile. So again, with the help of the village engineer, we identified about $1.5 million in potential projects outside of the TID. Again, is any of this absolutely going to happen? I mean, outside of the 85-unit apartment building, maybe, maybe not. So there's a little bit of guesswork in it. Oh, one thing I did want to mention too at the bottom point there is the development incentives for the commercial and residential. That's all based on pay-go. So, and that's all negotiated in the developer's agreement. So what that means is if the value isn't sufficient to pay the agreed upon tax revenue, the risk is ultimately at the developer. So the village wouldn't have to come back and make those payments. So it's really the safest, less risky way to structure development incentives. And so that's what all these are based on. So these are our development assumptions as far as value. This is assuming residential and commercial development for all the projects, so I'm not going to go through them again. But it's about $40 million over the 20-year life of the district. So what that translates into about a little over $10 million in TIF revenue through 2047. And I think that's reasonable. That's a reasonable assumption. Next slide. So this is a lot, but again, we're trying to provide as many tools in your toolbox as possible as far as project costs, different types of financing, and in that regard. But I will go through this a little bit with you. So again, the orange columns, that's the projected TIF revenues. Over the life of the district, that's going to be about $10.13 million. The columns to the directly to the right of that, those are the public notes issued for public infrastructure. So those are things like accessing the state trust fund loans or going to your local bank. Again, none of this is final, none of this is in process. This is all kind of guesswork. But that was for about $1.4 million for the public infrastructure, then $1.5 million for the half-mile projects. To the right of that are the development incentives. These are the pay-go. So again, if the revenues don't materialize, you're not going to pay the amounts listed on the screen. But this is, you know, for the CAMI apartments as well as all the different development, residential and commercial development that I've talked about before. So again, it's not going to happen this way, but what you want from a successful TID is for all your tax increment revenues to exceed your project cost expenditures. And in this case, they do. I know that's kind of a high level overview of this cash flow, but does anybody have any questions here? Also, the last bullet there is very important. So all projects are subject to authorization by the village board at the time of implementation. So you guys are the decision makers. You're ultimately going to know about all these projects when they're happening. You can decide if they're going to move forward or not. Which brings us today. So we've already come before the first JRB meeting and the Planning Commission. and they approved these plans. So now, today is December 17th, we're in front of the board. So, you know, we're considering the boundary amendment for TID 7 as well as the creation of TID 8. Assuming that that happens tonight, we'll have one more JRB meeting January 6th, and that'll kind of finalize the process.
Is there any risk associated with making these changes?
Changes to the plan or?
The boundaries, TID districts, all of this, is there any risk associated with making these changes?
Yeah, with TID 7, I mean, I think because the statutory termination is like so far in the future, you know, even though we're taking some of the value in a couple years, I think it's gonna be fine. Just because there's enough time for the district to pay back. But even with the cash flow, the way it looks now, I really do think it's gonna terminate in 28. That's a good question, though.
Now, Peter, you mentioned that TID 7 has an absolute dead date of 2047 that has to be closed.
By statute, yeah.
Yeah, so TID 8 that we're opening also has this 2047. Does that also have to close by then, or?
Well, yes, so
Okay.
mixed-use TID can stay open for 20 years.
Okay.
So it'd be through value year 46 and then
Yeah.
final revenue collection at
Makes
47.
Okay.
If there was a deficit at some point, you can request the standard extension,
Okay.
which would give you an additional 3 years to pay back some of the project
Okay.
costs.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll start with the first one. Motion for resolution 25-12 for the amendment of the TID 7.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-12.
Motion.
Second.
Second, motion and second. Roll call.
Van Dam, Serafino,
Yes.
Hagedorn,
Yes.
Revere,
Yes.
Whirlwind,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
and Summer.
Yes.
Resolution passed. Second one, resolution 25-13. This is for creation of the TID district number 8. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve resolution 2025-13 for the creation of TID 8.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Van Dam, Serafino,
Yes.
Hagedorn,
Yes.
Revere, Whirlwind,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
and Summer.
Yes.
Item B, review and approve the PR building project change order number 2 for $24,672.
So this was the change order from the last meeting. We got clarified with Wold. So these are the items that,
Mark, where is this in our packet?
Page 80.
It's right here.
So the first one that, the washer dryer hookup, DNR is covering that one.
yeah, we're gonna bill them directly.
The other one, is that what we were talking about, how the wardens needed wiring or
No,
just new stuff?
I think that's part of the access security system.
Yes, correct.
So remember, I think last week we approved
The security cameras.
security cameras.
Mhm.
So was that only for the police station that
That's
we?
for the police station.
Yeah, that's just yours.
We sorted through the warden's office just recently. So that should be, that was accounted for actually.
It wasn't?
It was,
Oh, it was?
yep, it
But,
was just,
so it was in the packet last week? Was it part of that, what was it, 45,000?
Well, there's carpet and all that other stuff that got pulled out.
No, I thought we.
It was washer, dryer, and then the carpet options. I didn't think there was anything on there.
Nothing was approved as far as change order last meeting. That's why we,
No, I know, but didn't we approve, the camera system?
Yes.
Access security, yes.
Yes.
So I can't remember how much that was for.
49. That was 48, or maybe
So
40.
that's what I'm asking, was that,
48,
was
Yeah.
this change order on top of that 49?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Because they forgot to include it, or is this something to do with the lease, or? Yeah.
Well, this is outside of the design of the building, you know, the normal project design. This is like leasehold, or what do you call these fixture improvements that you put in, you know, like cameras aren't part of the, and the access control isn't part of the project. That's outside of the project, outside of what we bonded for.
This is part of the lease negotiations.
Was it?
That's why Paul was involved on it.
Yeah, so the camera
At least
system.
that's what I understood.
Sounded like
It's radio options.
Oh, yeah, but that all equaled that,
Yeah, the 48,025.
but that wasn't part of, Lowell's? I thought it was.
See, and they have it labeled out, new wiring in the DNR, or does that mean in the DNR side?
I think that includes that one wire that we talked about last week, remember?
This says to the new server rack, low voltage, and new wiring.
Yeah.
Do you know about this one, Kevin?
Is that the wiring for the DNR office? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
It's pretty vague, I guess. $16,230.
I guess I wasn't aware of that part, but.
It's in there, it says, in order to meet security and data requirements per owner request, as well as provide new data wiring in the DNR to reach the new server rack, low voltage rough-ins and new wiring have been added.
I'm assuming some of this has to do with our stuff, but then.
Yeah,
the
the server rack, I think, is our end of that data room. And this is wiring for that new server rack. Part of this.
For the DNR.
Or is the server rack part of the security system?
I really like this.
So the owner, okay, so the data wiring goes through the DNR area to reach the new server rack for the village, for the police department. And then it also includes low voltage rough-ins and new wiring. So, yeah, I mean, Wold would have to be
That
here
doesn't
to
make sense.
get into much more detail.
Yeah, we did, I don't know, this was just added, we didn't talk about this last week.
No,
We talked about the washer and dryer.
Yeah.
Without more information, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Just get Paige on the phone?
Yeah, if we could do that, that might, because I know it was kind of timeline sensitive too.
I got questions. Because in our bid to Wold, that included all the low voltage wiring.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think, yeah, I don't want to speak for them, but maybe that was missed, or.
I don't remember talking anything about wiring other than the one issue at the DNR.
That one, they needed one wire to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that better be 16,000.
like you said, one wire.
No.
Right.
An hour?
Because on the, yeah, so they had a change order, right? Hammers?
This,
Yeah.
Okay.
But the proposal was, so,
For
so,
7 days work.
so 11 door strikes. That's gotta include that's a lot of doors. We approved all this last month.
If you want, I can go and try and get a hold of maybe like Paige or HE.
Yeah, I was trying to find the
And
chief's number,
if you
but
can
I've just got his office number.
come back to it maybe,
Yeah.
if that's an option. I'll go try and work on that.
Alright, we'll come back to me. Alright, we'll move on to C, review and approve 2026 village rate schedule.
Got Paige's number. Yeah.
We'll talk to this with Mark, so maybe we had questions, there were some question marks.
Okay, so, yep. Let's go to the rate schedule. Okay, so the rate schedule was reviewed by Graham and Kim both. I took the question marks out. I also removed we talked about raising the hookup fees, and after reviewing that, that really needs to be approved by the PSC. So we took that out. Other than that, it's the same, there was no other changes that Graham or Kim saw. I changed the hotel room tax to 6%. 6% is what the proposed increase would be. Excuse me. So other than that, I don't know if there's any questions.
So the red numbers is what we're.
Yeah, the red numbers would be the revised numbers, correct. That's what we're recommending.
So like the sewer hookup fee still has changed to 1,000, is that one that has to be reviewed by PSC?
No, that's not regulated by PSC.
Just water?
Just water, correct. Yep.
Are there any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the fee schedule for 2026.
Second.
Second, motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, D, review and approve resolution 2025-14, interoperable radio agreement.
This is what I was talking about last week at the board meeting we got that Wednesday morning. This is a sort of agreement. The last bullet point there basically sums it up that for the interoperability grant, the villages have sort of passed this that if we get the grant, we're going to pay our 20%, we're going to follow the WISCOM rules, we're going to use a WISCOM system, that kind of stuff. WISCOM is basically a statewide system like the Wisconsin State Patrol uses it. So talk to State Patrol on the freeway, we switch to WISCOM. If we get a big tornado comes through, we can talk to other agencies from coming across the state, we can go to WISCOM channels, so we all sort of have the same stuff. This is basically saying we're going to play by the rules if we get the grant.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-.
Motion second, roll call.
Van, Serafino,
Yes.
Legler,
Yes.
Trevor,
Yes.
Orland,
Yes.
Burden,
Yes.
Van Summer.
Yes.
Resolution approved. All right, discuss and approve pit meter billing methods for mobile home courts.
So at the last meeting, this came up, this is on the agenda, to increase or to try to come up with kind of a prorated way to bill the base fee for sewer and water for the trailer courts. And after reviewing this, basically we're saying that there should be no change made at this time. We're just going to bill the base fee for the size meter. So there's really no action the board has to take. I did put some of the summary in here of what would be revenue, the revenue that would be generated. It shows the 3 trailer courts. So
Are 1-inch meters standard, is that what
Does
it's
it say, was there a
highlighted?
discrepancy in the service size?
well, Graham's gone through this whole list, so these should be the right service.
Okay.
Meters for these cars, and the base charge is based on the meters, so there's no action the board has to take at this point.
Okay.
Oh, okay, just information.
Yep.
It's because, yeah, I think they talked about different meter sizes at the trailers versus now we have to go back to just one.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lose revenue.
Yeah, we figured initially, maybe it would be 9,000 a quarter, but after looking at this closer, Graham and Kim, it's gonna be more like for the sewer fund, is it 3,000, and the water fund, like 1,500 or something, just off the top of my head, so.
The whole point of this was that we were trying to figure out a way so that we weren't going to lose.
The problem
We
was,
would break even. equipment?
No, the problem was before we had to cover everything all the way up to each individual meter.
Yeah.
So long-term, we're losing
Long-term
money
maintenance.
now, but
Yeah,
like if you have 20 water lines freezing all of
Yeah.
those,
yeah.
Okay.
then we
That's
have to go out and
That's the
repair
ones.
up to the
That
meter.
makes
So there's,
sense.
there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah, the long-term liability is a lot
Right.
worse with having every
But the
trailer
usage
meter.
is.
Short-term, we
It's
could
one meter in
Yeah.
the pit
I got it.
all it
versus,
She'll catch up.
be a bad winter with a bunch of repairs and we'd be out all the money that.
right.
I
It'd be
understand.
different if we owned the trailer park like Village of Woodville does,
Right,
but we don't, these are private trailer parks, so.
Yeah.
yeah, so we relieve ourselves from the liability and all that
Yeah.
exchange. Okay,
Yeah.
And then like cost a meter too, I mean, we saved how many meters?
yeah, that was
60?
another consideration. I
60
remember.
Yeah.
meters,
So
had to be replaced.
quite a bit of savings
So-
there.
Yeah,
I've done this every town I've been in,
Yeah.
gone to
No, I
these
get
pit
it.
meters.
No.
So,
okay.
So there's no action on that?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
that puts us back to me.
Back to me.
Yeah, get clarification on that change order?
Yeah, I'm
Shows
just
that much
trying to
detail
call
in
somebody.
there.
So otherwise I guess we'll just table it.
Can we,
Or you could
approve
approve part
a
of it.
portion of that,
You could.
right?
You could just
The
approve
washer and
the
dryer
dryer,
section
yes.
of that, and then if you
Yes.
have questions, they can move on with that.
Yep.
Alright.
Because my question to them was, is the whole 24,000 part of, did that need to be approved because the attorney is working on putting that price into the lease?
Right,
That, I don't wanna hold up the lease,
right.
you know, but I don't, I just,
Yeah.
Do you wanna run back and see how close Kevin is, and
Yep.
if it's not gonna work out, then
And
maybe
you
we
need to
can
check
do
with
that?
Paul on that lease?
No,
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just like I'm trying to avoid that, like,
Yep.
as a little-
I can't remember the last one. Did they have,
had a conversation.
they said they had carpet and all this stuff.
Yeah, the carpet and one other thing that they just, paint, some kind of paint was on the last.
No worries.
He just ordered two that they mentioned.
But you can't see.
Couple
We did. I was on both there.
Lighting application for the site plan approval, that went in.
But this should have been all
It was
in that same
paint,
one.
paint and carpet, but I don't remember anything about wiring
I don't either.
that she
That's
brought
why,
up.
I mean, we approved a bunch for that access security last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole building.
Nate,
Are you guys from the county?
Yeah.
If you guys can just stick around, I have an off question.
Yeah. Seemed like it was a pretty short meeting, so
Yeah,
I figured we'd just
thanks.
stick to it. And you guys will see us, our application for the site plan and PUD approval went in on Monday. My kids got the silent messenger played in it, so just see it once.
See you later.
it's really good.
yeah, I can't find him. He must have went back.
We lost Kevin.
Was this one of the things that we're talking about? We're talking about like
No.
the soffit?
No.
Change order number 2 that we had last week was
10,000, just washer.
8,400. Yeah, that was washer dry.
Yeah.
That's where the rest of this comes from also.
Yeah, where's the 16,000 from?
Where are you? All right, we gotta get this one done. Okay,
Nothing.
these, says he hasn't heard it.
This is from last week where it's talks about 10,000.
So last week, yeah,
Yeah,
so
so Berghammer had the 42 for washer dryer. That was on that.
Yeah, that was my old thing.
Was the access security one.
Oh, you had it there, okay.
That was 36,199.
Yeah.
So it doesn't match the
No, nobody matches.
24,000.
That weren't they all together though, those three?
yeah, you have to add 3 of them there. There was 3,
Yeah,
Access Wisconsin's.
yeah, the 849.
I wasn't able to get hold of anyone.
But nothing checks back to the 24,000.
Make a motion to approve the change order number 2 for the amount of the washer and dryer.
Alright, motion second. All in favor?
Well, Kevin, I just got a comment. Sorry if it's gonna hold something up, they should have been here, we didn't know anything about this change order.
Yeah, I mean, we have a meeting tomorrow morning. We'll try to get clarification on it.
Your motion is for the 8,442, correct? Yeah, isn't that, or that's more than,
Well, that was the furniture
I
either.
guess I'm not sure.
Yeah, no.
No,
I
so
don't
there's
think I
nothing.
was under budget.
That was a different clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no mention of circle anywhere.
I'm sure it was under
Total
budget.
request.
Okay.
So we have a motion and second on just the washer and dryer without.
Total of 8,442.
Okay.
And Kevin and Mark, you don't know nothing about this?
The 16,000?
No recollection?
Yep. No, we do, it's just, there's a lot of like back and forth the last week on it.
Right.
Okay, I don't know. Yep, I'm done.
Yeah, it-
No, I just hope it doesn't hold anything up.
I know, well, there's that, but yeah, I agree
Okay.
that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I just don't give them information.
No.
Any other one up?
Nice if we could have all these change orders lined up. Can we get in its overall packet of change orders from?
We don't want that many, actually.
No, I mean, it's not like I'm gonna like file them and like color code them or anything, maybe, but.
Good thing you weren't around during the sewer.
Oh.
Yeah, they tend to come in throughout the.
Three change
No.
orders and
It's just hard paging back and forth on it.
Anything else?
That's,
We good?
that's,
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, thanks.
Sorry, Kevin.
no, that's okay, I understand.
How are you guys? Good. I'm Matt next door, so, Michael? Mike. So, side note, I work for Baldwin.
No, you don't look that way.
Um,
Yeah,
your
I know.
complex.
Yeah, I think it's sugar yet.